Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Chick Smooth. Glad you guys are enjoying the content. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you can know when I post. I post really often, about 4 times a day. All right. So, if you're enjoying this content, hit the Cash App if you want to donate. Subscribe to my channel. Let's get right into this one.
That's not necessarily fair, but I put myself in that parallel. So that's why even with Fanbase, why I built audio rooms, right? Because I heard Master P complain to say, well, look, y'all, we blew up Clubhouse to $1 billion valuation and wallow. And I'm like, all right, well then let's leave. There's no excuse. Like when audio is up and running on Fanbase and it does the exact same thing Clubhouse does, we can migrate over there and turn that into $1 billion app in 2 months as well. But the difference is in the infancy of this company, I have offered it up to invest to people like us or anybody that wants to invest. So if you want to own part of a platform and then put value and put your energy and your time and your content and your talent and your dances and your memes and your clapbacks and all that and your videos, you can put it into a platform, but at the same time, on the back end, you can own it. And then I also wanted to look out for the creators of the world, any creator, and get money and get paid for the same things that we do for free so people can run ads and make billions and give us nothing. So owning infrastructure is what this is all about. We're at the apex of innovation, but if we're not owning infrastructure, then we're really just giving the bag to somebody else.
That part, and I love everything that you said. I also feel like we need to learn how to gatekeep our stuff way better. We allow people sometimes we allow people who don't even understand that Black culture is a subculture of American culture to tell us how to treat our culture, who to give it away to, and it's almost like I feel like we are looking for acceptance, and that's the unfortunate part because I also feel like even though you are creating an audio app, I mean you've created an app that'll provide the same things as the space. How many of us are going to support it? I am 100% because I'm that person, but how do we get everybody on board to support your app? Where we will be more free there. We probably won't have the same issues as us being shut down and blocked off the app with no reasons. These are the things that we are facing here. These are the things that we face on a lot of these social networks. How do we invest? And I'm gonna shut up there.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can invest in the platform. We've managed to raise 2.7 million up to this point. I'm probably going to stop investment at $3 or $3.5 million. There's a wait list. You can go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. But the 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 interesting thing is we have the information, and I wanted to speak on something else real quick too. Is also we just have to start highlighting like the things that and it is it's a mind trick, right? It is a whole like I call it like the velvet rope syndrome, like things that people are denied they want access to, right? So it's like I could you could go to a nightclub, like nightclubs in Atlanta that are open, and on a night where white people party, there is no VIP section, right? All the sections are open. People are buying drinks at the bar, right? But then on a black night, you put a velvet rope across some sections, and then black people clamor to get on the other side of the rope and pay a whole bunch of money just to be on the same couches that on a white night, their motherfuckers is over there for free, right? And so it's this idea of acceptance, and I know. We can start highlighting, like when I think about the Louis Vuittons and the Gucci's and the Birkin bags of the world, I'm not I'm not into like fashion to the point that I know everything, but I know there's a black designer. I know there's a black designer that makes handbags that are the same quality as Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Hermes, and we can support that and make that the bag, right? And make that the bag that everybody has to buy, right? Or make, and I love what Kanye has done with Yeezy or Virgil with Off White, like make those the shoes that you have to have, right? So that's it. And then just being intentional. It's literally just about being intentional. I don't expect everybody to migrate to Fanbase book, but what I do know is creating an alternative space for us to communicate and speak freely. And I don't think that the the separation of Black people on Clubhouse was meant to marginalize the community. I think it was meant to avoid the conflicts that were taking place right before the election, because I was on here like September, October, and it was very, the rooms were very hot and tense, and people had a lot to say. But I don't think it was done out of an intent to marginalize the people. I think they were trying to keep the peace. But what it has done is created an environment where, as of today, there's 8 million people on Clubhouse, I think, that use the platform. I don't know how many daily users they have all the time, but it doesn't feel that way. Like, it feels like the same conversations, the same people over and over again. And so I know over what we're doing over there at Fanbase is we want you to have, a new experience in conversation every time you come on the platform, or conversations that you want to talk about, things that you want, that you're curious or you hear. So if you want to walk in a room and you want to talk about, Bridgerton, then you can find that room real quick to have the Bridgerton conversation. So, but if we're intentional, what I'm saying, I think the platform will be successful. Clubhouse is not going to be able to own the audio market because they're just spaces and places that people are going to want to have conversations that are separate from their peer groups. So, Clubhouse is mostly over 25, what I'm saying? So that the 17, 18 to 25-year-olds, they're not coming to Clubhouse because their mom and dad are on here. And they can't say fuck and shit and hoes and I listen to these songs and all that kind of shit without their parents maybe being in the audience. So I think audio is going to be spread out amongst multiple environments where people make their own communities.
I wanted to ask, can we get a school with your father's name on it soon? Because I think that needs to happen as well.
Well, you know what? So I manage his estate, and so one of the things too, also about keeping legacy artists alive, is a couple things. And one of the things that we also don't hear about is a lot of times the families of these estates are usually in conflict over who has rights and who can control it. So I'll give you an example. Like when you want to use the name, image, and likeness of an icon, you need the permission of usually the entire family. So my dad had a lot of kids. He was married 4 times. Um, so together with us, my goal and idea, what I did is we created a company called Isaac Hayes Enterprises and folded all of our rights into that company, and then I was named manager of the company. So then they only have to ask one person. So if you ever wonder why you don't see a lot of Barry White or some of these people, because sometimes the families are fighting too. And when they fight, nothing gets, we can't use that Barry White sample or we can't use this image of him because you have to have permission of all the people. So we also need cooperation amongst families so that these icons can be highlighted and in that fashion. But we got stuff in the works. A lot of my father's publishing is starting to revert this year. So he started writing songs in 1963, and the copyright term on those songs was 56 years when they returned to the writer, the original writer. So think about that. Before 1978, when you wrote a song, you didn't get the publishing back as the songwriter until 56 years after you wrote the song, which is crazy. Then it turned to 35 years after 78. And now it's just like people do like 8, 10-year deals and they get their publishing back. So a lot of these classic songs that my father wrote, like Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Coming, like these records that he wrote as a songwriter are going to start coming back to the family in the next couple of years, which is really great. And so that's a lot of intellectual property and income for my family that I think is remarkable. And that also gives us, the ability to start to produce our own content and tell our own stories in different ways, on a larger scale. You're not supposed to spend your own money producing, but sometimes when you have, extra capital and you really want to make the right story, you can do that. But there'll be things coming. We'll definitely be doing a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, because we have Miss Queenie on the stage, who is she is amazing, and she's one of the best educators out here that's teaching our children. So I think that would be amazing for her to be a part of that kind of building an educational, program that's dedicated to your dad. Miss Queenie, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Wow, that was so dope. Hi, everybody. I'm Miss Queenie. Hopefully, you're having a beautiful evening or morning, depending on where you are at. And I love hopping into this conversation, particularly with what you just said. I run something called Black School. My students started Black School and asked me, "Hey, Miss Queenie, can you help us facilitate this?" And tonight we were wrapping up our Black History Month celebration, and we did a lot of study on Carter G. Woodson. And what's fascinating is these children are in schools and they don't even know about Carter G. Woodson. And so when I walk away from our session, I go, okay, if there wasn't a Black school, when would they learn about the father of Black history? When would they learn that he chronicled our history because his Harvard professor told him that no Negro has ever contributed to history? And when Imani was talking, when I hopped in, I was thinking, like, God, what is our issue? Because we do a very great job of coming together when we got to check somebody. But we don't do a great job of coming together to build intraculturally. Like, we use our culture as a protective force against whiteness. But what happens when you take whiteness off of the table? How can we use our culture to give it to give us the boost to build economically, like Isaac was saying, and he says this every time in every room, which I think is such a good message to remind people we have to own the infrastructure, we have to own the technology, we have to own the data, like getting beyond on just participating and being in the game, but actually being the owners of the sport. Right. And I think that that's such a profound, like our children aren't learning that. They're just learning how to be the cameraman. They're learning how to be the player, but they don't know that, the other guy owns the company. He makes all of the decisions. My brother went to Vegas and he did a job for one of the hotels out there. He makes custom jerseys and sublime uniforms. And so he did masks for one of the hotels and he happened to meet the owner of the hotel. He was just like, wow. When he the owner took him around the whole hotel, told him I'm the last remaining real owner of hotels in Vegas, and just gave him inside peek at what ownership actually looks like when you see it on that level. And so for me, as we talk about reflection of Blackness through the eyes of Black creators, I just really hope that we start holding our culture as sacred, and that we start ritualizing it, and that any children that you have in your lives, that you start teaching them that history isn't just to protect them from whiteness. It's to help them build and understand that they're creative geniuses, that there's brilliance inside of them. And I love the idea of building a school to Isaac's father's name and really helping however I can contribute, even if it's on a small scale and you just ask me to come in and look at something that somebody else did. I would love to do that. So I just wanted to give that perspective. And for anybody out there, this book is called The Falsification